Hello, everyone. Welcome to STEM and CTE Integration Strategies for Distance Learning, or the Hybrid Classroom Model with VEATIVE. If you're just joining us, well, actually, you are just joining us. We just started. So this is our third session today. We've had some great sessions so far. We had one on Google Drive and the Google Classroom this morning, and then we just had one talking about the support that PD can offer your teachers during this time of distance learning. Those sessions are going to be made available on our YouTube page along with this one following the session. So if there's anything that you miss in the next week, everything is going to be there. My name is Nina Scalfani. I am the Senior Event Coordinator for Tech. You've probably received quite a few emails from me at this point about this Tech Virtual Summit. We have 19 amazing sessions planned throughout the week. So from Monday to Thursday, pretty much 11 to 3 p.m. every day, there's going to be something great for you. If you haven't seen the complete schedule, make sure to visit tech.com. If you go to the events section, you'll see right in that page there will be a link where you can access all of the different sessions and you can register there. If you have any questions about anything that you've encountered during this week, you can always send them to events@tech.com and I will be happy to help you. We're going to start in just about a minute. If you are just joining us, welcome to STEM and CTE Integration Strategies for Distance Learning, or the Hybrid Classroom Model with VEATIVE. Following this session, I'm going to send you an email which will include a proof of attendance as well as a video link to this and the presentation link. So you'll have all that information readily available. All right, let's get started. Like I mentioned, my name is Nina Scalfani. I'm the Senior Events Coordinator for Tech. This is the third session of our Tech Virtual Summit, and I am so happy you all are with us today. If this is your first session with us, if you scroll over your Zoom page, you'll see at the bottom there's a Q&A box and a chat box. Feel free in the chat to let us know where you're from and what you teach. Let us know if you have any great ideas that you want to share. But if you do have a question, just make sure to ask in the Q&A box, because that's where we are going to have Jake from Tech. He'll be helping moderate and answer those, as well as Charlotte from VEATIVE. As I mentioned before, you're going to receive a follow-up email with the video of today's presentation, as well as a link to the presentation slide deck, and a link to the rest of the sessions that we will be running throughout the week. With that, I want to pass the baton over to Amie. She's the Chief Business Officer for VEATIVE, and she's going to be guiding us through the presentation today. Hi, Amie.
Hi, Nina. Thank you so much for the introduction and for having us today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Amie Souder. I'm the Chief Business Officer of VEATIVE. I'm also a former public educator. I was a teacher and a principal for years in Palm Beach County School District. So I know your time is extraordinarily valuable, and I appreciate you joining us on this webinar. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So during this session, we're going to explore how virtual labs, simulations, and experiences can be utilized in the classroom and outside of the classroom during distance learning and during the hybrid classroom to apply learn concepts, build background knowledge, and engage in scientific behaviors. And the exciting part is, after this session, one of you will be selected to win a one-year subscription to VEATIVE's distance learning solution for a class. And I'm going to explain a little bit about what is included in that giveaway in just a minute. So let's talk a little bit about the hybrid classroom model. So this is kind of a little bit of a new term with our new normal. So hybrid learning combines face-to-face online teaching and distance learning into one cohesive experience. So in order to create the best possible experience for students, teachers really have to decide for a particular learning objective. Is it going to be better for me to teach this face-to-face? Is it going to be better for students to learn this online? Which one is going to be better in that model? So some of the challenges with distance learning and the hybrid model when considering STEM and CTE instruction is that CTE and STEM curriculum, it might not give students the same immersive, interactive, hands-on opportunities that they would have in the classroom when you're doing distance learning. So, some of the innovative ways that teachers are delivering content in the classroom are difficult to do when you're not in front of the student. And then even when you're back in the building, hands-on activities and labs might be difficult to facilitate due to social distancing. And again, if you're distance learning. So, let's talk a little bit about the importance of interactive learning, especially in regards to STEM and CTE. So student meaning beyond what is presented, when the learning opportunities help to build that background knowledge through applying what they've learned and also through real world experience, relating it to the student so that they understand they can connect something in their real world. And then giving students the opportunity to explore fundamental questions about the world. This is really important, focusing on behaviors that scientists use. So those scientific behaviors, that's what students acquire. They learn those skills when they conduct labs and they're collaborating in the classroom. So how can we recreate that in the home environment? And then they need to be able to, in terms of CTE, they need to be able to practice those skills to be successful in a career. So, these are things that are done and learned and acquired by doing, by getting hands-on and really getting to experience the content in a different way. The other piece that can be challenging with distance learning in the hybrid model is tracking student progress. And this is critical because the data is what's going to give teachers a snapshot into what students know, what they should know, where they are in reference to the learning target. And educators need to be able to efficiently and effectively capture student data in a distance learning environment so they can make informed decisions on what they need to be teaching, what they need to remediate on, and to positively affect student outcomes. So virtual labs and simulations are a great answer to this. So when students are in a classroom, they interact and explore with content in a variety of ways. So if you have virtual labs, simulations, or virtual experiences that students can do when they're not in the classroom, it's a great option for engaging the students and providing interactive learning opportunities that can be utilized at home. So just a little bit about what one of you is going to receive today for the giveaway. So in our solution, the VEATIVE education solution, the first thing you have is the learning management platform. You can manage your classes, that's where you're going to view your content. You assign labs, you put the labs for the week that you want the students to do. It's also where you're going to see your analytic reports, the student data. And we have over 500 interactive virtual labs, simulations, and experiences. They're accessible on any computer with internet access, and they're also accessible on our virtual reality headsets. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about those. And then also the data for tracking student learning. So the analytic reports are in the learning management platform, and our content has built-in assessments. So after a student completes a lab, a simulation, or experience, it's scored for them, and the teacher can see the analytic reports. The principal can see that as well. I'm going to go a little bit more into that. So the key features: customizing and managing your classes, viewing the assessments, accessing those virtual labs and simulations, super easy to use. The great part is that the teacher will have a login, the students will have a login, and also the principal and even the parents can have a login, so everybody can be a part of tracking the student progress. So our content, just to go a little bit into that, uniquely engaging. These are real world experiences, and they really help to deepen students' understanding and build background knowledge. The virtual reality content obviously is immersive, but on the computer, it's in WebXR format. So it's actually the same format that they make online PC video games with. So students, it's a highly engaging, it's a 360 environment that they can look in. So it really is somewhat immersive, helps them deepen their understanding, build that background knowledge so they can make connections to content. It's all interactive. So opportunities to interact with content in innovative ways, builds confidence as learners, really encourages that self-discovery, helps to elicit rich academic conversation. The learning objectives are clearly defined. We're aligned to national and state standards, and we have the built-in assessments that you can measure progress. So there's over 500 virtual labs and experiences, as I said. Grades 4 through 12, STEM courses, so biology, chemistry, physics, math, your math courses, engineering. You will receive SAT and ACT prep. And then we have 2 career pathways. So one is agriculture and the other is healthcare. And then we also have social studies and engineering tours. So these are great. It gives an overview of the history of the building and also how it was engineered. And then again, a little bit about our tracking student progress. So our reports track progress towards mastery, question and module attempt. There are also test item analysis, and it will track usage. So on this report here that you can see, this is a module report. So after the students take a lab, this is the score report that you would see. And you can see here that for question 1, I can go down the list and see which students answered that question correct, which students did not. And also, this student took the module twice. So I can see both scores, the score average, how the percent correct. I can also see if this student did this on the computer or on the VR headset. And this student, George Mendel, who took this module twice, he missed question 3 both times. So I'm going to have a conversation with him and try to understand where the disconnect is there. It's question number 3. So it's just an example of some of our analytic reports. So let's talk about strategies for integrating virtual labs and experiences. They can be used to teach concepts during any location in a unit, whether it's introducing a brand new concept, whether you're trying to deepen understanding of a concept you're already currently teaching, reviewing, if you're doing some sort of review at the end of a unit, or even for remediation. And then really when you're thinking about integration, what are the traditional instructional tools that you use? Videos, models, worksheets, whiteboards, what are the things that you would traditionally use in your classroom? What are those instructional tools? And what can these virtual labs and simulations enhance that you're currently doing or replace? Okay. So I just want to give you some actual examples of some of the labs and how they can be used in the classroom. So for dissections, obviously dissections would be very difficult to do distance learning. And even in the classroom, most schools will have one frog that kids are sharing because it's expensive. So to social distancing, it might even be difficult to do in the building. So this is a great opportunity to be able to dissect at home. Not only that, this particular lab does the comparative anatomy of the ray finned and the lobe finned bony fish. So students actually get to click back and forth between the 2 fish as they're dissecting and to really look at the difference in their anatomy. So it's a great opportunity to look at multiple species and to be able to do that without having to purchase the equipment and handle it. Okay, so and in this one, teachers can even use these as a demonstration. So this is our density of fluids lab, and the students get to pick a variety of variables. So the different types of fluid, and also the balloons all have different materials in them. It populates a graph chart. And so the teacher can actually drive and be demonstrating as the students are saying, hey, let's try this variable, let's try that variable. And just like I'm doing this with you now, it can all be done on a Zoom call. So that's another way that you can use virtual labs for demonstration purposes. And here's also, this is a popular one that most chemistry teachers will be very familiar with, which is the litmus test. And again, this can either be done as a demonstration with the students guiding, the teacher leading, or it can be the students working independently. So let's talk about application for just a minute. This is one of my favorite labs that we have. This is one of our math labs, use of the Pythagorean theorem. So applying knowledge is really going to help students build greater meaning and increase their engagement. So equipping them with the skills to find, analyze, and evaluate the information is going to help them make their own connections. So in this module, what students do is they learn about the Pythagorean theorem first, and then they actually go out and use it to measure various objects. So they apply what they've learned, in a realistic setting so that it makes sense to them. And here's another example. This is one of our agriculture examples. So what students are going to do on this one is learn about codominance and how you can determine the color of offspring using codominance. So first they do this with cattle, and then they get to apply what they've learned on their own and do this with chickens. So it's really cute. They get to grab the chickens and put them in the box. So yeah, so this is another example of really that application piece. Couple of my most favorite labs and simulations here. So real world experiences, as we talked about, is going to give students the opportunity to experience content in different ways and make those connections. In this virtual lab here, this is a physics, and it really talks about wind speed and air pressure. So the students are in a lab conducting all these different experiments on wind speed and air pressure. And then they are outside and they actually answer the question as they learn about how wind speed and air pressure during hurricanes can cause destruction in a community. So they actually get to see the roof blow off and then answer the question. So this is another example of real world. And here's another great one. This is on magnetic field. So in this, students learn about how the sun's particles go towards the earth or pulled towards the poles. And as these particles bounce off our atmosphere, that's what creates the phenomenon aurora borealis. And so they get to actually see the science behind it and then have this experience where they're in the snow, looking around in this environment, looking at their aurora borealis. So they get to make that real world connection. Another strategy is, in this example, you can actually have the student drive the teaching. So student-led virtual demonstrations can build confidence, give students the opportunity to present science concepts, and be able to learn how to effectively communicate about science. So in this example, the students, they balance the chemical equations by popping the balloons with darts. And this student is using the annotate feature in Zoom to actually explain how they balance this equation and how they came to their answer and what they're doing. So they go through how to balance it using the annotate feature, so you can draw right on the screen there. Collaborating. So a lot of us might not think that collaboration would be easy to do. You know, it's definitely can be a little challenging, but you can do it. So students can either work in groups, so they can meet up on their own working groups, or there's also different, I know like Zoom has rooms and you can put students in different rooms, but collaborating is definitely really powerful. I can tell you definitely, and after they graduate, they have to learn how to collaborate online, especially now everybody's working via video chat. So it's really important that students can do this and learn this skill. So in hybrid classrooms, creating these learning groups and having students work together to solve problems and think critically can really keep them engaged, and again, give them a different way to interact with the content. Definitely giving them guiding questions to ask each other will definitely help to drive that academic conversation. So in this physics lab, what students work together, they can work independently, or in this case, the teacher had them work together, and they have to navigate this maze, and they decide which simple machine that they're going to use to move an object or to go over a hurdle. And so you can have all the students meet on Zoom. One student is driving and the other students are working with them and talking together as to which simple machine they should pick. And they go through and answer the questions together. And it's going to tell them the applied force. So there's definitely opportunities for collaboration with the virtual labs as well. So in summary, virtual labs, simulations, and experiences help to build background knowledge through application and real-world experience. It's going to provide the practice students need to refine skills needed to be successful in a career. It's focusing on behaviors that scientists use to answer questions, and it can help provide formative assessment data that's going to guide teachers as to where students are in reference to the learning target. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you being here. And I think we're gonna answer some questions now.
Hey, Amy, it's Jake. We had a couple questions in the Q&A I wasn't able to answer. The first one from Ann is, does the VEATIVE WebXR platform integrate with Canvas?
Yes, actually, so we are in the process of finishing our integration with Clever, which will allow us to integrate with Canvas and Schoology and all of the main LMS systems. So that should be done by, I think, September 1st was the deadline that I got today. Sometime in September.
Okay, great. Second question from Barbara was, in VEATIVE, is it possible for students to have a place to take notes as they work together to solve a problem?
There isn't a way for them to take notes directly in our software. However, they can, if you're using like Google or Microsoft, they can absolutely toggle, because it's internet based. So they could absolutely toggle between a Google Doc or a Word doc as they're working. They can also work on the notes, in the notes box. So, but there's not anything in the lab that allows them to take notes per se within the lab space.
Okay. And then another question just came in from Shannon. Are there earth science labs included in the WebXR modules?
Yes. So everything that I showed you, all of that content that I showed you, so from grades 4 to 12, you would get all the science, all the math, all the social studies engineering tours, and then the SAT, ACT prep. And also what's included is the CTE, agriculture, and healthcare. It's all included.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat or the Q&A at this time. Is there anything anyone else had questions on in regards to the VEATIVE solution? Okay, so if there aren't any other questions, just a couple things. We will be sharing this presentation and this recording with you guys after the session in the next 48 hours, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at Tech. I'll pop my email into the chat here. If anyone has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me. Or if they need a quote for the solution or have any other questions regarding it, I'm always happy to help out and provide you with that information.
And I also wanted to let everyone know that within the email, you'll have we'll mention the proof of your attendance of this session. We won't be issuing out individual certifications. And last, I did just want to mention, we have one more session scheduled for today. It's SEL Tools for Active Learning. It's a great session. They just ran it last week. And because it was so popular with the audience, we decided to run it again. So it's a really valuable webinar, and I hope you make it to the session. It starts at 2 p.m. today, and it's hosted by Chrissy Rebert. She is our VP of Global Instructional Solutions here at Tech. So with that, Amie, thank you so much for presenting, and Jake, thank you so much for working the chat box today. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, aside from having Jake's help, you can email Jake, or you can email events@tech.com, and we'll make sure that your question gets answered. With that, thank you so much, and we hope to see you throughout the week at the rest of our virtual summit sessions. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.